Hello there and welcome back to my boat shed. My name is Panu and I am building this 15-meter liveaboard cruising sailboat you can see behind me here. In previous video we got the mast steps lifted on their places, and last week or so, 2 weeks actually, I've been kind of figuring out how I'm gonna be installing them, so let's go and check that a little bit. You can see here that there is plenty of wood in there, and that's gonna be the first beam here in the middle mast. So if we go underneath here a little bit, you can probably see a little better. So this is the mast step. The mast will be in here, and here is now quite a pile of wood on both sides of the frame. This is the frame 11, and it is a thick frame, and all this cavity between this frame 10 to 11 to 12 will be filled with some wood. But I'm gonna start with this main beam that is coming across this frame 11. So obviously the mast step will just be around this beam, and there's these holes that there will be some bolts through this beam. And after the bolts are in, we're gonna fill this cavity as well. So it was quite a big job. There's actually quite a lot of wood in that beam. Here there's 6 layers, yeah. Not sure. Yeah, it comes right on top of the frame, so this will be of course shaped afterwards to the shape of these frames. But there's still something to do with this frame actually, because as you can see here is a hole for the ballast keels. So if you don't know, this boat will have double keels. So these are the placements for those ballast keel timbers, beams, whatever you might call them. And they will actually extend in this frame 11 as well. So I need actually to cut here hole or these off a little bit to be able to put the beam right into this frame. There is a similar cavity like that in this frame as well. So that is still to be done, but otherwise this looks pretty good. They fit quite well. They're nice and flush down there, if you can see. So that looks pretty good. However, I probably don't have enough clamps to do this, because I need to clamp this from either side, from either end. Then I need some kind of bracings underneath because they kind of flex a little bit like this. So I need some kind of support down here. I think I'll screw them in this frame so that they will be straight down. And then I need some kind of a clamping system to clamp them on either side, and then of course to top to bottom as well. On the middle I can use those lead ingots to weight that, and I think that's gonna be enough pressure, but here on the ends I need some kind of clamps here, and I only actually have, believe me or not, I only have 7 clamps, and that has been enough so far. So yeah. But I'm gonna continue with that a little bit later, because now I have prepared today. It's December 14th today. There is a winter outside. You can probably tell my outfit. So I have been preparing this frame 2. Frame 1 will be there. Frame 0 is already on its place. It has been glued in, so that's permanent piece of the boat already. But now this frame 2 is kind of dry fitted here. If we take a closer look down here a little bit. So there is a screw in there to hold it on its place. You can see the laser line here that corresponds the placement for this marker, this little bit of a slot here. There's frame 3 here, which is the reference frame, so it's exactly on the same spot with this frame as well. So the frame is leveled properly. And yeah, these pieces are exactly the same width on both sides, so they will actually make the mast step to align right in the middle of this frame. So that's good. And on this side, you can see it kind of sits on the mold there. So this is pretty much done for the dry fit, and I think tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday, I don't know which day I have enough time, I'm gonna glue this frame and the mast step and all this wood in there. There is the pile of wood that belongs in there, and that's gonna be quite a bunch. Of course, this is much smaller than the second frame or the second mast over there, because this is right on the front. So it's much easier to clamp and kind of align. So the next thing I have actually finish to-do list marking here. So first is the support. And actually that's something I kind of figured out already. I need some kind of support here because these wood blocks here, these are quite heavy. So I don't really trust this middle mold that much. So I'm gonna put some additional pieces here to hold the weight of that while it's gluing. I need to do those. I do them today still. Then I'm gonna get everything off from there. Then the second thing is to kind of make this a little bit rough, because the hot dip galvanized surface is very slippery. And the epoxy apparently doesn't really stick into this that well. So I need to rough this surface over this side and also this side. This side will be visible, so not that one, but these sides that will have glue on them. Then there is gonna be measurements. Well, I actually did all the measurements already. I still need to kind of make sure that everything is on the right position and straight and square. Then just put epoxy underneath here and put this frame on place, and of course put the epoxy on over there as well. So the frame will be glued at the same time, and between there will be epoxy as well. And then just put epoxy on all of these pieces and put them on their place. And then kind of make sure that everything aligns with the glue correctly as well. And then just put some clamping and some weight on top. So that's basically the plan right now. And I'm gonna do that in a few days. And maybe later next week I will make that second mast step as well. Because the Christmas is in a little bit over a week from now, and we're leaving next Saturday to my parents. So before that I would like to have these both mast steps glued in. So far so good. I got the first mast step glued in a couple of days ago, and I was a little bit of keen to do the second one this week as well, but the temperatures in earlier this week were so low that I needed to postpone that a little bit. So that's gonna happen after Christmas, because today is Friday and tomorrow we will leave for Christmas holiday for a week, so nothing will happen next week. But right after that I'll continue with the second mast step over there. But let's take a look at a little bit how this went. So as you can see, it is now glued in with epoxy. It's pretty much the same procedure as I did with the stern assembly there. So there's these wooden blocks here just glued in, and I try to make it so that the seams are a little bit off from each other. So it looks good. There's plenty of squeeze out everywhere, and this looks pretty well attached to the steel as well. So I'm quite happy how this turned out. Seems to be quite well adhered here as well. I had this tarp over the thing and a little bit of a heater there for a couple of days so that I could have a little bit of a heat inside there for 2 days. Looks all right, plenty of squeeze out as mentioned, and this seam looks quite well adhered there, so quite happy with this. So let's take a look at this another one here. So this is gonna be pretty much the same. I think I already mentioned and showed you this a little bit, but this is of course much harder than the glue than that one because those were quite short pieces. These are much longer than they bend a little bit. I think I'm gonna have to buy more clamps for this. I only have I had 7 clamps and I actually bought 2 more, but 3 of them are those lightweight quick clamps, so they're not really suited for this kind of job. So I need to buy more clamps. They're quite expensive actually to buy those clamps. So not sure what I'm gonna do with that second one, but yeah, this looks very nice and really happy how this turned out. This is super solid. It's not gonna go anywhere. But yeah, right after Christmas, I'm gonna go and buy these bolts. They're gonna need to be 35 millimeter, 35 centimeter bolts all the way through, and I need to drill those holes. That's the reason I don't have this frame here just yet, because I need to have good access for these bolt holes. So I need to buy a long drill bit as well. I think this was M16, this bolt, and this hole is a little bit larger, so now when there's this hot dip galvanizing zinc over there, it's not too small for the M16 bolt. So they're quite hefty bolts. And as mentioned, they are quite long and they're not very cheap as well, so I need to go and check if I can find those bolts off the shelf stuff. And I want them to be hot dip galvanized bolts as well, so same stuff as this one. They're gonna be epoxy glued inside there, so they should not be any exposure for moisture or oxygen inside there, so that should be all right. And that's one reason I didn't want to use stainless bolts, because stainless steel really works only when there is oxygen available. So when it's inside structure like this, there is really no benefit of it being stainless in the first place. So yeah, but that's gonna be happen in a couple of weeks, and now we're gonna have a little bit of a break, and we'll continue in just a moment for you guys, of course. All right, it's about a week later after Christmas. It's 28th of December today, and now I have been preparing for gluing the middle mast step in. So if we take a look a little bit here, whoops, I have the frame is lifted off the place and the mast step is actually waiting here, and I have the laser here to have the vertical line to align the frame this way. So that should be good. Everything is kind of prepared for that. Next thing I need to do is to sand the surface of this as well to bond the epoxy. And as you can see, I only have my hoodie on. It's around 0 outside, and I've been now having the heater on for a couple of hours. It's almost 10 degrees in here. So that is absolutely not amazing, nice to be in here. It's quite cozy and comfortable. So yeah, next thing is, as mentioned, I will take some sandpaper and sand that surface so that I can bond the epoxy to that. Then I lift it back on its place. Of course, clean it up with some acetone to get all the grease or other contaminants off that surface. Then I start to mix some epoxy. And the first thing, of course, is to glue in the frame. So I need to glue the legs of the frame in there, around there, where you can see the line, and the other side as well, and then put some epoxy in the middle of that mast step so that when I lift the frame on its place, it will sit in the middle of there, and there is epoxy between the frame and the mast step. Then after that, it's just putting these two piles on their places on either side of the mast step, and then put some clamps in there. I actually bought 3 more clamps for these tasks. So now I have 7 of these and 1 little bit of smaller one and 3 additional clamps. So I think that should be enough. What I also did, I put some pieces over there, those things, to kind of hold the beams so that they won't kind of drop it down too much. Those should be on the right spots. It should make that a little bit easier to align the beam in there. So yeah, I think I'll just now put some additional time lapse on, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, learning from this, there is not really anything special about the glue up, but the fast hardener in these temperatures, it's now 10 degrees in here, so it might be a little bit too fast. Maybe I'll use the slow hardener first for the frame legs, and yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll use a mix of those 2 hardeners. That's okay to use them together as well. So kind of a half and a half of the fast and slow hardener that should be able to kind of adjust the reaction time with that. Yeah. Looking good so far. Whew. Okay, it's next day. Yesterday I got all the things prepared and the time went quite fast, so I actually didn't get the lamination done yesterday, but today I did, and it is already underneath here. Maybe we can go and take a little bit of a look underneath here. Let's see if we can. Nothing much to see here, except for some nice squeeze out over there. But it's all now done and curing in here. There's the heater over there, and it should be good. So, it was quite a long day. It was quite hard work to do that, to lift all them on their places. And one really annoying issue was that my heater kind of stopped working for some reason. I had to get the chimney out again. It just went off and tried to start itself again and again, and really didn't work. I suppose there was a little bit of a breeze coming from that direction, so the flow out of the tube to that way wasn't enough to keep it running. Well, there's a little bit of a smell now here. I had to run it like that, but it's probably okay. If you say that it brings CO, carbon monoxide, yes, carbon monoxide in here, it actually shouldn't. Run Sailing did a test with the carbon monoxide detector with this kind of heater. It burns so purely, so it shouldn't bring any carbon monoxide here, but there's still a little bit of an annoying smell in here. That's about it. I think there's nothing more than this to this video. There's now some content already, and here is the front mast step all cured and nice. So we'll continue with these on the next video. I think the next thing really is to go and get those bolts. I will do that next week if I had money. I don't know, I don't have any clue how much they cost, but they are probably quite expensive because they are long and big bolts, and there's quite many of them. So we'll get back into that, and yeah, then I need to start making more material for these mast steps. There is a little bit more here, but I doubt it's enough for all of these packings needed in here and in there, and of course the other mast as well. So that's it, and thank you so much for watching. And I know this video was very different from my previous videos. I'm gonna kind of update my video system so that they are a little bit easier to edit and to shoot, because I have really limited time to do these videos. I want to kind of make it easier for me, at least for now. And in next month, in early February, the Patreon will also turn into monthly subscription. So that's gonna be changing as well. And that will change the style of these videos as well. And I hope they are good enough for you. I think that content really here is the actual build, not the thing around it or my life for that matter. So I try to make kind of maybe even weekly videos about the progress in here. I'm really not sure how much I can do. There is quite a lot of work for me right now, and I hope there will be more work in near future. So it all comes into this whole budget thing, because I need to purchase a lot of material in the next few months, like the planking stock, a lot more epoxy, fiberglass and stuff like that. So I really need to collect some money for that, and I don't know what I'm gonna do in 2 months. So yeah, everything depends on the work situation really. So if you want to help me with this project, please go and subscribe, and please go and check the Patreon. That all the funding will go into materials right now. So that is the case. So thank you so much, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye.